Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rock and Roll podcast. Check out this record. At episode 103, we will embark on all things cheese. My name is Frank, and with me is my good friend who loves cheese just as much as I do, Mark.
Much like the music we like, people think the cheese we like stinks too, but they're wrong.
They are.
Uh-huh.
And you can find us, because I know you are, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and of course, YouTube.
Oh, yeah, YouTube, definitely, for sure. But when you ask, great question. Thank you for asking. New episodes drop each and every, mostly Fridays.
That's right. Hearing us for the first time, you're not annoyed with us. Welcome. Woo! We review records track by track. We have lots of musical discussions. We do spotlight episodes that might include some mysteries. And we've just scratched the surface, especially with that Led Zeppelin series. We just scratched the surface and we're just getting warmed up, Mark.
You are highly caffeinated tonight, and I like it. Okay, so you definitely want to check out our Versus series. Well, Frank and I will pit two bands against each other, make them duke it out for something we like to call total stereo domination.
Dang, that could be one of my favorites, man.
Thank you.
Really, really good, man. So while you're checking this out, because we know you are again, Instagram, Facebook group, hopefully these episodes will leave you wanting more of our musical goodness. And you heard from Mark, so there you go. Now, if you want a record that you want us to listen to, drop a comment where you find us, like, subscribe, rate, review. So I'm going to say this, Mark.
Frank.
You're describing to someone what Primus sounds like, right? And they've never heard them before. And you have to do it in one sentence. One sentence. What do you say?
Primus in one sentence. Shit, dude. Okay. All right. 90s alternative metal with the funkiest bass lines and obtuse lyrics meant to make you wonder if you've eaten entirely too many magic mushrooms. How's that?
Wow. Really good.
Thank you.
Loved it. Mine sounds thoughtful. I would say they're a jazz prog metal funk band with humor, and then I would ask the person if they like Enya, and then I would say it's not that. So that's the best way I could the best thing I could say.
100% not Enya.
Not Enya at all. Surprise has been in the background of like my musical world for a while, right? The world they created has without a doubt stuck to me, where I would just randomly think about things such as My Name is Bud, Winona's Big Brown Beaver, and the term pork soda. Like these were constantly just coming up in my head. And I remember them in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey at the Battle of the Bands. But I wanted to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So here we go. Okay. So Primus began, Mark, in El Sobrante, California in 1984, with singer and bassist Les Claypool, guitarist Todd Huth, and a drum machine, Mark.
Oh.
They had trouble finding a drummer, right? I know one. He's right there.
Yeah, that's me.
And eventually settled on Vince Parker. They recorded a demo after Claypool sold his car. The band went by Primate, but had to change once a group called Primates threatened legal action. And so we have Primus. By 88, and a healthy rotation of drummers later, they recorded a demo called Mark Sausage.
So, it's kind of funny. My buddy Nate, who's a big Primus fan, actually has a pressing of Sausage.
That's crazy.
And we listened to it. It's totally badass. But I also wanted to point out, if you think about, Primus with just Les Claypool, and I apologize to the other dude, I forgot his name, on guitar, and a drum machine, all you need is Peter Steele, and there's a way cooler typo negative in the works. Am I wrong? How cool would typo negative with Les Claypool be?
Oh my God. That would be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
And gothic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By 89, we have a new guitarist, Larry Lalonde, and drummer Tim Herb Alexander, and a record, Suck on This, which is a live record. Yeah. In 1990, we get the band's official debut with the studio album Frizzle Fry. Such singles as John the Fisherman and Too Many Puppies, and a video featuring Kirk Hammett helped the band's popularity and get some attraction from Interscope Records, which is where they signed. So, Mark, before we get sailing on the seas of Cheese. Let's discuss briefly Les Claypool's innovative bass playing. I mean, this guy's brain, it's working differently, right?
Yeah, I'm not actually a neuroscientist. I just play one on this program. So let me say this. Yes, 100%. He gets compared to Flea a lot because he's really Les Claypool's only contemporary that doesn't sound kind of just like everyone else at the time. And what they were doing on bass. However, if you look at his influences, it's no wonder why his style of songwriting and playing are so innovative. When asked about his favorite bass players, he mentioned everyone from Geddy Lee of Rush, Chris Squire of Yes, Paul McCartney of the Beatles, Stanley Clark, of Return to Forever, which is a pioneering jazz fusion band. I had to look them up. Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath, John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin, and Bootsy Collins of the Parliament Funkadelic. So his influence has no boundaries. So it's no surprise that reflects in the sounds he creates.
Yeah. This is where a high skill at something, it's inherited in some, Claypool's bass playing is so innovative and inspiring. I mean, his timing is perfect, not a one-trick pony at all. From tapping, slapping, flamenco style guitar and guitar like chording, he basically created a whole new way to play the instrument. That it's just a special gift. So May 14th, 1991, out comes Sailing the Seas of Cheese, right? We get Jerry the Race Car Driver, Tommy the Cat, and those damn Blue Collar Tweakers are all released as singles. So, Mark, you ready to slap that bass?
Fish on!
All right. Seas of Cheese, if only such existed, Mark. With a band like Primus, I feel like you're going to always need a short intro song like this to set up what is to be expected. And with one listen, this is going to be unique and expect anything, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the way or this move by bands, like just to set the tone of the album, especially when you plan to take them on an odyssey, like across an odd sea of cheese.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Track 2, Here Come the Bastards. So awkward in a good way, and it seems to work out. We get a heavy palm muted guitar, and the bass basically is like playing like its own separate song, but it's all working. Say what you want about Claypool's vocal tone, but it's placed so well with the music. Mark, are you digging this song?
Oh yeah, I'm into it. They do a great job of ramping the sound up slowly and methodically off that intro track. We should talk about Les Claypool singing a bit. It's unorthodox for sure, but given the music it's being sung over, his tone and range really work well to add to the band's unique and distinct sound. I don't think that this band works with another vocalist like at all.
Yeah, you're right.
Except for say maybe Tom Waits.
Which we'll get to, right? Track 3, Sergeant Baker. One of the earliest songs the band wrote with, recordings going back to 1986, narrated from the point of view of a drill sergeant. With the line Steers and Queers, and this being 91, I can't help but think of Full Metal Jacket. Unsure if Sergeant Hartman was the influence here, but we see the band taking these characters, these concepts, and creating a whole world around them in a song. I love the heaviness that the song brings, which shows that Primus is not just about funk all the time. Mark?
Yeah, the slow build of the first 2 track really pays off here when the band just gets really loud and rocks the fuck out. That big funky bass is there, but it doesn't overpower Herb on drums or Lur on guitar, who get the opportunity to show off their unique styles as well. Really cool track.
3-piece band, man. Yeah, 3-piece band.
I'm telling you, man, you can do so much.
Man, really. Track 4, American Life, discussing the views of people coming to the U.S. for a better life. Claypool is using the bass in the beginning here as if one would use the guitar. And I love how innovative the use of the instrument is like that. And it's bass, to me, like if you were to strip this down in its natural form, it's basically like a folk song, right? If you were to take away everything, the bass and guitar are just, they're so on point here. And they aren't even like it's so weird because it's like they're not talking to one another, but they're totally just it's working in sync somehow, and it's raising the eyebrow, which always intrigues me. Mark?
Yeah, that's part of Primus's signature sound, right? The bass playing more of a lead, and the guitar is left to kind of explore the sound and add to it without simply following the bass around. You get these two different ideas that come
Right.
together to form more than their whole. So it's a great track, man. Just really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Track 5, Jerry was a race car driver, a song most casual Primus fans would know, right? Jerry was a race car driver is about a
Mhm.
young man named Jerry who loves driving his car fast around Claypool's hometown of El Sobrante. It also compares Jerry's frivolous lifestyle with the exploits of a fireman named Captain Pierce. In the end, both men meet their fates equally in uninspiring ways. Now, Claypool would say that Jerry was a race car driver is a composite of a few people. He said, I knew this guy. I knew this type of guy in high school who was not too popular with the girls, but he had a car that was kind of a cool car, but not really the coolest car. It would always race it around and show off, and every now and again do something stupid. So that was a huge impact for him on Jerry was a race car driver. He said he wasn't the best race car driver out there, but he wasn't the worst. He never did anything. He never did win any checkered flags, but he never came in last. He's very mediocre. He's just your average Joe guy. And right in the middle of the song, for no apparent reason, it starts talking about a Captain Pierce, who's actually Claypool's grandfather. He said he wasn't my blood grandfather. He was my stepfather's grandfather. But he was an amazing guy and taught me a lot of things and taught me how to weld and solder. Very smart guy. We did a lot of fishing together, just a big part of his life. And he was a fireman. So, Mark, after all that, do you wish you were a race car driver?
Yeah, not so much. I just wish people would get out of my way when I'm on the road. You know what I mean? At 3 minutes and 10 seconds long, this is a shorter Primus song, which is fitting for a song about how things end when they end and you don't really expect them to. They end before their time, right? And how that affects the individual. Really cool and interesting song. Great track. And I got to tell you, that dog will hunt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Track 6 is called 11. Could be my favorite song on the record. If you're a fan of songs with odd time signatures, then this is for you, with a time signature of 11/8 and what appears to be about social alienation and isolation. This song rocks really hard. Mark, are you digging 11? And I'm not talking about the character on Stranger Things.
As she is a child, I will tell you, I am most definitely not digging on her regardless. I do dig this track. However, her acting skills are fantastic, and I always look forward to seeing what the character will do next. Anyways, just like with Les Claypool, I always want to see what he's going to do next. This odd tempo and time signature add to the distorted feeling of time and space.
Yeah.
The band is able to produce at what appears to be so effortlessly, but I'm sure it took forever to work out because my God, that time signature makes me crazy trying to play along. That said, I'm sure it takes, just a ton of time to do that, and I think we're better for it because it makes this track and it adds to the depth of this album in such a cool way.
Yeah, good stuff. Track 7 is This Luck. If you think Claypool's bass playing couldn't get more distinctive, then you're wrong, because he owns it with this main riff that pretty much just sees it through the whole entire song. It's got really a lot of grit to its teeth, and although the lyrics small, not big, and they're repetitive, the song just completely, it will rock your jock strap off. Mark, what about you?
Yeah, this actually might be my favorite track on the album. It's got a bit of a punk rock vibe and energy to it. Lyrically, it feels like it could have been on like a Black Flag song. People often mistake hard work and effort for luck, and that's what he's trying to address here. Simple things from matching your shoes and socks to playing his bass, to having a girl that wants to kiss him, right? Is it luck? And ultimately getting lucky. Is it luck? It takes a lot of hard work to get that lucky, if you know what I mean. And I think that's the point of this song. It's a really cool track.
Yeah, it really is. Track 8, Granddad, is a little ditty. The track has an ambiance of a running shower in the background, as a deep voice character, presumably Granddad, It doesn't add anything in particular, but it's funny. Mark, did you like this little ditty?
This track's the first track on the B side of the album. So in Primus style, they're really making sure that you're in that proper weird headspace after you've flipped this bad boy over. It's cool. It serves its purpose for me. I'm into it.
Yeah. And thinking about that album experience, which we all love, right? You flip it over to the B side and you get that track. Makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're already going like, okay, it's gonna get fun. What the hell? And it's just like, did they record this in his living room? Like what?
Might have.
Right? And like grandpa was just in the bathroom and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's in the shower again. Let's go get him.
Yeah.
Track 9, Tommy the Cat. Tommy the Cat initially appeared, of course, on the 1989 album, the live version of it, Suck on This. The studio version later became the second single for the band's second album, which is this, Sailing on the Seas of Cheese. It was also, of course, included in the soundtrack of the 91 film, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. In the studio version, we get Tom Waits, who provides the voice of Tommy the Cat. Mark, I think the song is so unique. Character creation, the wit, superb musicianship. It's so cool. What about you?
Yeah, man, it's like the funk rock is in full effect here with this like thumping bass and drums just keeping the wheels mashing the gas full speed. It's down the proverbial. It's just so cool. I'm like at a loss for words for it. Tom Waits is Tommy the Cat. I mean, who else could have pulled it off really other than Les Claypool? And the fact that he's on the record speaks that how far out of the box Primus gets when it comes to creativity and being unique. It's such a fun song to rock out to.
So interesting that two people like Waits and Claypool and the Primus group kind of so outside the box and thinking and find ways to merge together. That's pretty cool, Track 10, Sattington Waltz. A waltz on the Sea of Cheese is what I picture in my mind here. It's again, a little interlude that's a highway from one song to the next. Again, pretty cool, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's a great segue to keep the listener on their toes as they move from song to song. You can't help but feel like Waits had some hand in influencing this, as Waltz always seems to come up in what he does.
True.
And he, so like you can kind of feel that inspiration there as kind of, especially coming out of Tommy the Cat and the fact that he was on it. And like, I think that's a really cool touch. It could be completely coincidental. They could have had it and just needed to fill the space on the record. I don't know. But I think it's just so damn cool.
Yeah, it really is. Speaking of damn, track 11 is Those Damn Blue Collar Tweakers. Musically, again, Primus shows like they could get heavy. And I feel like when I talk to fans of heavy music, they're unfamiliar with, Primus, where they may not equate Primus to getting heavy, but they could get heavy. I mean, this is beefy, right? As I say. And yes, I did say beefy. The song content is giving us, how long haul truckers are using stimulants to keep themselves awake to deliver more freight quickly. So Mark, you tweaking yet?
Born tweaking, Frank.
Woo, woo.
I love that they pay homage to the working class here by making the commentary that, the candles that burn twice as bright only burn half as long, right? People don't think that Les Claypool can think that deeply, but there it is as one of his lyrics. As a way to say society puts too much pressure on the working class, but that's if they want to keep their status in society, they don't have any other choices. It's really interesting. This is a great example of a song with depth and meaning that people gloss over because they just think Primus is a band that Beavis and Butthead liked.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because again, some people I'll talk to and they'll be like, "Oh, they're like a gag band, right?" And I'm like, "There's humor, right?" But
right, no, but I mean, they were a big part of that '90s alternative metal scene, like this.
Yeah,
they were huge for a while. It's crazy.
It is. Track 12, Fish On, the Fisherman Chronicles, Chapter 2. Big sound tracking here. It's Fish On, the Fisherman Chronicles, Chapter 2 is the second song of the Fisherman trilogy. That began with John the Fisherman on Frizzle Fry, and it ends with the Old Diamondback Sturgeon on Pork Soda. Big fan of creating the characters and having stories weave throughout several albums. What about the length? Well, for the most part, this album really doesn't have many lengthy tunes, so I'm okay with it because I'm not exhausted by those lengthy tunes. What about you here, Mark?
I really agree with you on the length here, Frank. It doesn't distract from what the band is doing. If anything, like the intro, and the band's love for interludes, it works with the context of the album. The song, despite not being, the record, despite not being a concept album, does contain its themes and atmosphere, and that's why they're playing into here, and it really works. This song, as much as it's part of the trilogy Frank mentioned, helps to tie the album together thematically and adds to the album's overall continuity.
Yes.
Plus, when the band jams out at the end, you really get the feel of how absolutely talented these dudes are, because they shred.
Yeah. It's, well said, man. That's so true. So true.
Thank you.
Track 13, Los Bastardos. The various voice samples throughout the song are taken from the British sitcom The Young Ones, a series well known for its liberal use of the word bastard. Features the band joined by several guest musicians like Mike Borden from Faith No More. This is going to be a good one. Tony Butthouse, Chaba, and Merv Haggard from the Limbo Maniacs. They're all chanting, "Here they come." Listen, fun way to end the album, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. I like the end, the album. I like that they end the album with this, referring back to the first song, "Here Come the Bastards," and using that feeling of madness to bring about the album's final rock out, kind of jam out climax. Really well done.
Yeah. Man, that was fun. That was fun. Let's chat up, Mark, some final thoughts on the record. Why don't you take us through it first?
I really did have a great time listening to this album. Primus has always been a band that I've admired, much like you, Frank, from afar. Like I said last week, I loved Pork Soda when I was a teenager, but like with many bands, I had that album and I was ready to keep exploring different sounds, and just kind of left it at that. I really wish I hadn't now, though. Sailing the Seas of Cheese has changed me, Frank. Perhaps it was the salty Swiss air or the funk of the Gorgonzola. No. But seriously, there is so much more to this band than bass parts your brain can't process. The musicianship and songwriting are seriously way above and beyond what they get credit for. The album flows amazingly, keeping the listener engaged, wondering what could possibly be coming next. Stunningly creative and beautifully executed. Just an amazing listening experience, front to back. I'm giving this guy an 8 out of 10. Definitely check out this record. I'll be trying to find this vinyl as soon as possible.
Yeah, totally. And I like the way you put it too. It's like the bass parts, some of them are difficult for the brain to process because there's certain things I had to just sit there and I pondered after listening to some of the songs. I'm like, how did that happen? Right? Like, how was that even created? So good point you brought up there. So, as we talked about, off record, Mark, Primus is kind of like a niche band, right? You have to be in the mood for the niche, kind of like Psychobilly or even Tom Waits, as we talked about. However, once you're in the mood for them, then it's on, and you can't help but appreciate what these guys are doing creativity with their music. I've said it a bunch of times. I totally messed up. I said that a bunch of times, but when your brain works the way Claypool's does, then it creates just a different style of songwriting. This isn't verse, chorus, right? Bridge, repeat with the hooks. This is verse centered around a theme or a character, and the chorus is basically that point hammered home. Dylan does this, Waits does this. Primus is doing this with their blend of all these styles, and it becomes even daunting to figure it out at the end. There's that processing, right? Stuff that goes on. But listen, at the end, it is just music. It's high quality music with some really amazing musicians that they weren't the sexy band of their time, and hence why they are at that point of intersection between the underground and the cult-like status and slight mainstream. I really enjoyed this record with Tommy the Cat, 11, Sergeant Baker being my faves. But every track, really, it is an album experience. I give it an 8 out of 10, Mark, and similar to you. So it was so enjoyable listening to this. And I think it's time, Mark, that you tell the kids at home what we have planned for next week.
Frank, I hope you're good with a long play. I picked a long album for us.
A nice long one.
Right, we're doing a double LP that runs 18 tracks with a bonus track at the end, and it's none other than London Calling. Oh yeah. Hey, I'm gonna be on the road a bit. It's hard for me to really dive deep into this, but Frank and I are gonna record for you. So we're gonna do something we're both familiar with and have a really good time with. It's voted one of the best rock albums of the 80s, released January of 1980.
Wow.
The Clash's London Calling.
I'm blushing. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, man, that's the thing. That album, and of course we'll get into it, but it's transcended music in general. Like it's not just, well, if you had to be, a punk or you have to like this. No, that album is for anyone who likes music. And
absolutely,
man, good call. Good call.
Yeah, we'll be sucking that dick's record next week.
That's right. Sounds good, my man. Hey, God, that was awesome. Thanks everyone for joining us on the Check Out This Record podcast. Like, subscribe, rate, review, suggest. Be safe out there.
If you're wondering if we make any money on YouTube, it's because of jokes like that we don't. But we're at the end of this episode, so won't you say it with me now? Oh my. Oh, hell yes. Oh, bye-bye.
Have fun sailing on the seas of cheese, my friends.
Frank, get your gorgonzola over here, buddy. Ooh, I want you to smell my brie.